Welcome back to the news today. This is One-on-One. Violence rages across Africa after days of uncertainty in Mali. In the last 4 months, we have seen a sharp deterioration in the fighting in the Central African Republic, claims for ethnic genocide in South Sudan, and this week, the rise of the Boko Haram movement in Nigeria after the insurgent group swept through world media with the abduction of 276 schoolgirls. And joining me tonight is Patrick Aloni, founder and CEO of the Close Protection International Group, who operates in various parts of Africa. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming.
Good evening.
So what do you understand about Africa that maybe the rest of the world is failing to understand?
The situation in Africa now is very simple. The economy growing in several of spaces in Africa, including Nigeria. Once the economy is growing, then you have the crime is growing in the same in parallel time. And Islamic group like Boko Haram that you have in Nigeria and basically in the west of Africa, or in Tanzania like you have in El Shabaab that they mauled in before 3 months ago, and other rebels group doing basically implement the Islamic ideology in the
extreme Islamic ideology.
Exactly. In the civilians, and they are using civilians in order to implement their religion. In that way, they are basically doing the terror. And now the situation in Africa is.
How do you start dealing with these kind of extremists? How do you start negotiating, if you can, with these kind of extremists?
Well, first of all, you're not negotiating with terror organization. That's international rule. But in regarding to Africa, it's very simple. First of all, you need to gather the information, exactly what they need and what they want. And you start basically doing the negotiation. You are using the international international knowledge that they are buying with a lot of funding from a lot of other countries and other resources, and coming to Africa in order to help them to solve this. This is the same situation that we are facing now when the MOD, the Israeli MOD, sending their troops and our officers basically to help them.
So let's say that maybe the international campaign, nice campaign that we're seeing in the media, bring the girls back, is hopeless, or just a campaign, a PR
campaign? No, it's not.
Campaign.
It's definitely not a campaign. It's a question of days until the girls are going to come back to their home. Again, as I said on the beginning, the Boko Haram, basically the rebel group, but what they need, and it's very, very simple, to get knowledge that all the people in the west of Africa, absolutely west of Africa, will know exactly what exactly. And then after they will release, the government will release their troops, then they will start the negotiation, and they will bring back the girls to the to safety.
But really, it's a different way of thinking. You know, we're talking about ethnic differences. We're talking about people who think in a completely different way than the West. And like you said, the world is not negotiating with terrorists. It's just except of gathering information and gathering intelligence about these terror cells. How do you stop this? If you can.
The question is not how you stop it, because basically the world don't know today how to define terror. To define terror is still a big question. That's why you have the G8 and the G9 and the G20 and all the countries that basically in doing the meeting once in a quarter. And basically what they are doing, what they are trying to do there, to define what is a terror. Until they will not succeed to define what is a terror, nobody going to stop.
How do you define terror?
Well, very simple. To define terror today is to make and to succeed with a good training and a good equipment. With both of those two things, then you can win the terror. Not only to define.
This is maybe how to fight it, but how do you define it? What is terror?
Again, every day you have a new group and a new people that thinking that they can. I don't know if to They are trying to basically start from to start how
Let me try to give you examples. For example, today the Islam, because after September 11, Islam got this stereotype of being a terrorist religion. But can you define the acts of price tag as terror acts in Israel?
In Israel, it's not really a relevant question right now because we are not talking about Israel, and Israel know how to define and to protect themselves quite well. But if we are facing on Africa, and that's what we came to do here, it's a question of time right now because terror now is receiving a lot of funding from a lot of.
So again, excuse me, but I'm trying to understand because what is it? Is it anti-Semitic? You can define it as terror. Group of 10 people who are trying to do terror is a small group, a terrorist organization, or like I said, the extremists from the Israeli right who are doing actions against Palestinians are terrorists. How do you define terrorists?
Again, nobody knows today how to define the terror. But for your question, I'm giving you the answer that to make sure that terror will be in like a small circle, and we know how to know what is the limit from both sides. You cannot do it, even not from Israel, and even not in Africa today, because every day, as I said, people wake up in the morning and trying to basically win and trying to go past the safety net and trying to make terror. If it's not by physical action, it can be by technology action in the cyber and so on. So you cannot define terror because terror is basically every morning is developed the same thing like the economy when it's developed. You buy technology, the terror buying technology. You can see 5 years from today, before 5 years ago, that the pirate didn't have any ropes how to take ships in the Horn of Africa. Today, they have everything that you want, that money can buy, basically.
From your knowledge, from your experience, do you think, what is the biggest threat today to the world? Is it Iran nuclear program or terrorism?
Again, the threat from Iran is part of the terror. Terror, again, as I said, you cannot define today because the technology that the terrorists have in their hand is unique and very risky. That's why we are making sure by the Israeli intelligence and other let's say agencies to make sure that Iran not going to do, and if they are going to do anything, probably we'll know 2 years before.
And about the terrorist groups, what is, in your opinion, is the biggest terror organization that is standing in front of the world today?
No, today you have Al-Qaeda, who is basically founding a lot of groups that we just spoke about. There are many others, not only in Africa, but there are many others like Al-Shabaab and the M23, and in Central African Republic, basically the prime minister today is one of the rebels' leader.
So we're talking about extreme Islamist terror organizations. Can we say that in the West there are terror cells that we don't know about? Western terror cells?
No.
No.
Nothing like that. No.
So you sure 100% not anti-Semitic, not neo-Nazis, not this is not in the definition
everything
of terror.
That is on ground today, people can define, and they have.
Because in one way or another, you're saying that basically terror gets out only from Islam.
No. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. I'm saying that particularly to Africa, most of the terror coming from the Islamic, basically radical. Yeah.
Patrick Aloni, thank you very much for coming to our studio. And that's it for tonight. Tomorrow we will be here at the same time, same place from the Jaffa Port, Israel. Have a great and quiet night.